houses and to the wholesalers. In addition, from the Israeli seaport to the crossing, it's only 35 to 40 kilometres. But Kerem Abu Salem is 3 times further than Kani, and its capacity is very limited. It's also more expensive.
Now, Israel says that it's closed the Kani crossing for security reasons and that it's expanding the capacity of the Kerem Abu Salem crossing. But for people in Gaza, that's not enough, and businessmen and drivers here, they don't believe Israel. They say that they had a perfectly good crossing in the first place that never should have been closed, and that this is in fact another attempt by Israel to tighten the siege. Nicole Johnston, AlJazeera, Rafah.
Afghan President Hamid Karzai has rejected a U.S. apology for the mistaken killing of 9 Afghan boys in a NATO airstrike last week. Now, this comes as hundreds of protesters took to the streets of Kabul on Sunday to demonstrate against U.S. military operations in the country. A statement from Karzai's office said the president had told General David Petraeus, the top commander of the coalition forces in Afghanistan, that civilian deaths in his country are no longer acceptable. Preliminary results out of Estonia show the centre-right government will stay in power for a second term. Prime Minister Andrus Ansip's coalition has won a clear parliamentary majority. This is the Baltic country's first election as a Eurozone member. Well, in France, an opinion poll in Le Parisien newspaper suggests that the leader of the far-right National Front Party could win the first round of next year's presidential election. Charlie Angela has this report.
The face of France's far-right politics. Marine Le Pen replaced her father Jean-Marie as leader of the National Front Party just 2 months ago. France's next presidential election is approaching, and now a poll published in Paris's leading newspaper is making uneasy reading for President Nicolas Sarkozy. It suggests that if the French public were voting today, Le Pen would win the first round with 23% of the vote. That's 2% ahead of either Sarkozy or Socialist Party rival Martine Aubry. Despite the news, Le Pen says her party won't get complacent.
I see this poll as an indication. I don't see it as an established fact. I know there's a lot of work to be done for the National Front, a lot of work to present our project to the French. I hope we are seeing the start of an awakening for the French people, because it's very fashionable at the moment.
The fashion she's referring to is the rise of the far right in Europe. Last week, a similar survey in the UK revealed 48% would consider supporting an anti-immigration party. Parties that already exist, with strong followings in Austria and the Netherlands. But the poll has sent shockwaves through French politics. Now, Sarkozy's rival, Dominique de Villepin, is being asked by his former spokeswoman not to challenge the president at the polls next May. She fears a split in the votes for the mainstream right could hand a victory to the National Front. Charlie Angela, AlJazeera.
At least 8 people have been killed in 2 separate attacks in Ciudad Juarez on the U.S.-Mexican border. Let's cross back to Shihab in Washington for more. Shihab.
Thank you very much. Gunmen attacked a bar in the city centre early on Sunday morning. 3 men were killed and 2 others injured in the attack. Later, the bodies of 4 men and 1 woman were found on the street in a nearby area. Authorities believe and claim drug cartels are behind all the killings. Meanwhile, in the western Mexican state of Sinaloa, 7 police have been killed. The officers were on patrol when they were attacked by a group of over 20 gunmen in trucks. And in the north of the state, army troops shot 3 gunmen after an ambush. In another development, Mexican authorities say they've arrested a high-ranking member of the Sinaloa drug cartel. El Vaquero, or the cowboy, was arrested in the state of Sonora. At least 1 home has been destroyed after a 6.2 magnitude earthquake in northern Chile. Security cameras caught the moment the quake struck about 60 kilometers east of the port of Arica. No major injuries have been reported. Just days earlier, Chile marked the first anniversary of an 8.8 magnitude quake that killed more than 500. Authorities in Bolivia's capital are evacuating 15 more families from an area hit by mudslides last week. 1,700 homes were wiped away after heavy rain triggered a hillside collapse. 50 people were killed. The Bolivian army has moved half the displaced to government shelters. One of the world's most active volcanoes has begun spewing smoke and lava. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory says Kilauea sent lava shooting nearly 20 meters into the air. The observatory has issued a warning about a possible hazardous eruption, but no homes are currently at risk. Thousands poured into the streets of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil on Sunday as part of carnival celebrations in the lead-up to Mardi Gras. Musicians entertained the crowd at this traditional street party in the city centre, one of more than 400 such events expected during this year's celebrations. And that's our wrap-up from the Americas. Let's return to Doha.
Okay, stay with us for a roundup of the sporting action, including another nail-biting finish at Cricket's World Cup as England try to recover from their shock loss to the Irish.
A debilitating condition afflicting millions of women across the developing world.
Sometimes it is not possible to cure a patient with fistula. We have to prepare her psychologically.
Revealing the human stories behind fistula and its intimate connection to poverty. A powerful new series exploring global maternal health. Birthrights, at this time on AlJazeera.
Welcome back now with all the latest on the Cricket World Cup and the rest of the day's sports news. Here's Stuart.
Yes, thanks. And England have proved once again why they're the most unpredictable side in the Cricket World Cup, following up Wednesday's defeat to Ireland with a victory over South Africa, one of the tournament favourites in another thrilling 50-over match. Joanna Gazarowska watched the action.
South Africa and their fans have been enjoying their moment in the sun at this Cricket World Cup. With 2 wins from 2, their confidence was boosted further as Robin Peterson dismissed both the England openers in the very first over. Skipper Andrew Strauss went for a duck, while Kevin Peterson was gone after just 2 runs. Imran Tahir then grabbed 4 wickets as England were all out for what seemed to be a paltry 171. Strauss's men had already suffered a shock to